Hi, I just wanted to walk you through the ISN that we're using, the Interactive Student Notebook this year for Carnegie Part 3, Course 3, and the different elements we have in it. First of all, I do have rubber bands that we've attached to some. When they start to get too bulky, you can see at the back here we just punched a hole, put the rubber band through, and then put some hot glue on there so it doesn't come out and get shot across the room. While we're in the back, we'll take a look at a few of the things we have back here. Since we do warm-ups, I let them keep the ones that we're currently working on here in this folder in the back. And also, because we want to make sure they all get caught up on some of their basic skill stuff, they have a chart in the back where they can put stickers if they finish adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, whole numbers, decimals, mixed numbers, integers, and order of operations. So that's from the back there. We also have a few other things we've added in the back. We added the reference sheet that they use on the standardized testing. It might change this year, but at least we have that one in there. And over here we have some conversion charts on different measurement units. In the back we also have the chart that helps them walk through how to work successfully in a group, and a number line that goes up to 16 and another number line that goes up to 10. Just so when we're doing some integer work, if we need to see a number line, we can use that. So those are in the back for a reference. If we go back to the beginning, I make sure all the students have their name on the front and what classroom this book should come back to if it's found, and what school in case they lose it out somewhere. That way, if it does get lost, it comes back to the right place. Also, I put tape over those because when you write all these shiny covers, the markers, even if they're permanent, seem to wear off over time. In the front, we have our list of expectations for the ISN, what it is that we're going to be doing, all the guidelines, what we do, and why we do it. The first page was theirs to decorate, so you can see mine has flowers because that's how I wanted to decorate mine. And then we set out 4 pages for table of contents. You can see right now, actually we're a little bit past there, I have to pick up on mine and get it filled in, but we leave table of contents 1, 2, 3, and 4. We leave those blank and we'll be filling those in as we go through first semester. The first page is numbered, number 1, always odd on the left and even on the right. We have our left and right, what we do in the book. Our left-hand side it lists the objective in their own words, it's what they already know, and notes or foldables. On the right-hand side, it's information I give them, such as learning objectives from the teacher, the vocabulary if it's needed, lesson notes, examples, and I usually put the homework on the bottom of the right-hand page too, so if their parents want to know where we are. The next 2 pages, and you can see there's a date at the top whenever these were put in, deal with classroom expectations for me and the consequences if those expectations are not met. So there's no question about that. This contact sheet, page 5, has become really a good thing this year. Every time I want to include anything for them about contact information, we've been putting it on page 5. And you can see it's quite full, although I think there's going to be more on here before the end of the year. There's the school telephone number. There's my telephone number with extension here at the school, my email address, my website, what periods I have planning, Mathia login, what computer number they use if they're assigned a certain computer, their bear paw number. When we do group work, they each have a bear paw number, and I put the bear paws with magnets on the whiteboard where they're supposed to be so they can tell. We also have access to Dreambox and 10 Marks, and we also have now USA Test Prep, so they have the password for that. And then here's how to log in to the Carnegie site and stuff they might need to know about that. So this is all, if their parents go, where can I get more information, they know to turn to page 5. We started this year with chapter 5, so this is the first page for chapter 5, which falls on 6. You can see in my book I've put tabs. After some discussion with the kids, we figured that wasn't such a good idea for them because when they put them in their notebooks they'll get crushed. But in mine I do like it. It helps me find the chapter quickly and where we are. This is our first page where we started to review things from last year. On these 2 pages we were doing decimal and fraction operations, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. And if you lift up these flaps, you can see they did the how to do it on one side and then an example on the other side. And it's the same over here. And those foldables are really easy to fold, and the kids get used to making those a 4-up if they need to. We are still reviewing. On this next page we did percents, decimals, and fractions, and under each window it tells you how to do that. Here's an example of how to change a fraction to a decimal, which is a good resource when you don't want to just show them over and over, but you want to say, what do you know, where can you find it in your book? They can look there. There's a fraction and decimal and percent conversions that we did together, and we also discussed whether they were terminating or non-terminating or repeating decimals. The PEMDAS hopscotch board, as I call it, we started using this one this year. I like it a lot because it does show that these two operations happen at the same time. So they have that, and then we did some problems on the order of operations. The real number system is actually the content in the first chapter. So you can see this is pretty standard page. We have the title of the unit, the date, and the page in the book, the objective. There's no vocabulary on this one. Their homework was at the bottom here. Over here in their own words, we wrote what that objective actually meant and discussed that. And then here's the foldable for real number system. You can see the rationals doesn't pick up because there's nothing in there, but in the rational numbers we have all the different integers, whole numbers. Yeah, I know that's upside down. Keeps us all on our toes. And natural numbers. So inside each of those they can see what that is and how it fits inside of the rational numbers, and they're all a part of rational numbers. Chapter 5 is very heavy on vocabulary, so we use the Freres, and each one of those folds open and gives us an example, a non-example, some characteristics, and the actual definition. And so they can go through and study those when they want. And you can fit 5 on a page. Of course, we only needed 9, so we put 4 on this side. Next page, more vocabulary. Like I said, this chapter was heavy in vocabulary. We had to do 5 on each side so that we could cover all the properties. And each one of those just flips open again with the information where the kids could write inside. 3 more vocabulary words for chapter 5. This is 3 more properties. And then we covered 5.3. And again, you can see here where I told them we had a test, some homework at the bottom. So everything's on one page and dated so parents can go in and see too exactly what we're working on. So that was the end of chapter 5. Then we started chapter 13, a new sheet with a new decoration on it. The information follows the same way. This was 13.1. In 13.2 we had a different kind of foldable, and these are really easy to do. Just we took 4 sheets of paper that were kind of long, stacked them up, staggered a little bit, and then fold it down. So then you have one for each definition. And the definition and the examples are inside each one. So that makes it nice and colorful, and that's easy to use the roll paper that most of us have for bulletin boards. Information on the other side. Here's one with a different kind of foldable. This was for multiples. We were getting a lot of confusion between multiples and powers. So on this page we talked about multiples and how multiples, like of 6, we got up to 30, up to 35, up to 80, and those are multiples. But then on the next page we did powers, and we saw how much more powerful these were and how we got up to numbers like 7,776 and huge 10 times numbers. So they could see the difference between doing a power and doing a multiple, because that is usually a source of confusion for a lot of the kids. You can see on this page I did have a review for a test, and I made sure we went over each of the different topics that would be on the test. On this page we had to step back a little bit. Students were trying to put all the pieces together, and so I went through each of the things I do for the class, which is making sure they're prepared and having all the information that they need. Then what we did as participation activities, which is notes on the board, math ed, group work, and homework. And I told them I'd stop 10 minutes before the end of each class to make sure they were all on track with what they need to be doing, which I would add that for them. And then I do a review and I do a test. And I told them how that all ties together. And on this page I asked them how they were doing on each one of these. And most of them went through and gave themselves a grade, as you can see right here, between A and F. And they, for the most part, were very honest with themselves, and they saw that maybe if they did more homework, because they weren't doing so well on that over here, that they could raise their grade and they could do better in class. So we tried to make the connection between what we're doing and why we're doing it and how they're doing in class. This is the review for sections 3.1 through 3.3. Gave them a bunch of worked examples and then asked them to try some. On this page, we started talking about scientific notation. I went over some things that they already knew so that they could be more successful with scientific notation. Not many vocabulary words, so we just did those here in the book. On 13.5, operations with scientific notation, again, we went over what we had done the day before so they would remember that and be more successful with what they needed to do that day. The book seems to play in really nicely with Carnegie because Carnegie is a textbook that you can write in, so they don't need a lot of extra paper and a binder or something. Here we have 13.6, and over here I put this was not in the student notes because I wanted to make sure that if someone was absent on that day, I remember all the different things we had done that day. So students don't have to copy that, but if someone's absent, I can make sure they get everything they needed that day because we had done a lot. This is the review for all of Chapter 13. I went through the 7 different items and made sure they had notes on those because, like I said, Carnegie's not heavy on notes, so we want to make sure they're on one place. Then after we were done 13, we went back to Chapter 1. So that's my graphic for Chapter 1. Here we started on 1.1, and today we'll be starting 1.2. So hope that helps a little bit. ISN's worked really well for us. I hope you'll consider at least taking some of the elements. Thanks.